This is definitely one of those forgotten movies that I think deserves a lot more credit and needs to be watched a lot more. Hey guys, welcome back to 24 Chambers of Film. Nathan here, and today I want to talk about a forgotten heist movie. It's a really good movie that I think kind of just slips people's mind when you're talking about heist movies. The movie I'm talking about is Dead Presidents.
Dead Presidents.
It's by the Hughes Brothers, by Alan and Albert Hughes. It was the follow-up to Menace to Society. It stars Lawrence Tate, who you remember from Menace to Society. He plays O-Dog. It has a young Chris Tucker. It has Keith David in it. It has Freddie Rodriguez, but Keem Woodbine. Keem Woodbine is one of those guys that recognize his face. You've seen him in a bunch of movies, but people always forget his name. It has Clifton Powell. Terrence Howard makes an appearance as Martin Sheen. I mean, it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you go watch it. There's going to be some spoilers in here. But my big question was, why did this movie get forgotten when you're mentioning heist movies? Why do people forget that this movie even exists? I'm going to be honest. I completely forgot it existed until like last week. And I used to watch this movie quite a bit when I first watched it. I didn't watch it when it came out in 1995, but I probably watched it like in 2000, and then watched it like consistently throughout the years. And then I don't know, I'd probably say about 10 years ago, it just fell off my radar. Don't know why, because it's a freaking great movie. And then I was looking for a movie to buy, to watch, and then it was on sale and I saw it and I was like, how could I forget this? Like, so I bought it, watched it, just as good as I remember. And yeah, it got me really thinking, why do people forget about this movie? Because then I started asking people, I'm like, hey, have you seen Dead Presidents? It's people that I know that, watch movies, and a lot of them are like, no, what is that? And so I was kind of surprised. So kind of want to just kind of wonder, like, why does this get forgotten? So for those of you who don't know about this movie, or if you do, well, you're going to get a brief recap here, right? But essentially, it starts off in 1968 with Lawrence Tate's character, Anthony Curtis. He's about to graduate high school. He's got his friends Skip and Jose, who are Chris Tucker and Freddie Rodriguez. And they kind of, it's one of those movies where you don't know what you're going to do when you get out of high school to figure it out. Jose decides he's going to go to the military. Anthony, who is the main character, kind of decides to go that route as well, much to the chagrin of his mother. And you establish early on that he seems to be kind of like it seems like he has a good family. He has a successful brother. Um, but he likes to, hang out at a pool hall, hangs out at Keith David's pool hall. His character's name is Kirby. And Kirby's kind of like a mentor to him. Even though he has a father at home, it's more like his mentor out on the streets. He does some work for him and kind of looks out for him. Or Kirby looks out for Anthony, Lawrence Tate's character, while he works for Kirby doing some stuff. And Kirby is missing a leg, and some funny scenes early on with him and his leg when he goes to collect some money. But then what happens is he ends up going to the military. He ends up in Vietnam, and he does a few tours there. And they establish that for him to survive in Vietnam, he has to disconnect that from home because he can't go out there. And he cuts off all connection pretty much with everybody except Kirby. That's the only person he writes to. But he also finds out before he leaves that he has a daughter. So after he's there, Skip ends up joining him, and because Skip had nothing else to do, so he ends up joining him. And future wasn't looking bright. Skip's not cut out for the military, right? They established early on Skip's a jokester. Just how you would expect Chris Tucker to be, right? And so they're in the same unit, and they also introduce you to Keem Woodbine's character, Cleon, who is painted to be like a psychopath, talking about taking people's heads off and keeping them as souvenirs, things like that. So they make it through Vietnam. Skip ends up leaving before him. That's kind of just you kind of just assume that based on what's shown. And when he gets back home, he finds Skip and starts talking to him. So he finds out that Jose was discharged from the military because he injured his hand. He was in explosives and he ended up injuring his hand. Skip has his full medical because he caught something over there, which ends up they don't specifically name it, but it's referred, they're referring to Agent Orange, where a lot of the people or some of the military got exposed to that, and it messed up their blood cells. Skip also has a drug problem. And I don't want to touch too much on like what happened in Vietnam, like in detail, just because I mean, when you watch it, like a lot of that, it's war action, it's violent, it's violent, and it sets the tone for like this. It shows what they went through, like the struggles they went through, and it kind of sets their character up. Like Lawrence Tate becomes a hardened individual over there, right? He comes back and he ends up, you know, has dinner with his family, doesn't want to talk about stuff. The mom's like pestering him, but you can just see like he's different, right? He's not saying that he was all happy go lucky in the beginning, but you can just sense like Lawrence Tate does a great job in this movie. He does a great job in every movie. He's actually an actor that I think is severely underrated. I mean, he's in stuff, but I don't think he gets the recognition that he deserves. And this is just another great performance by Lawrence Tate. So he then goes to Juanita, who is the girl that he got pregnant before he left, and he tries to link back up with her, and they start the romance again. Then you find out that while she was gone, she was dating a guy named Cuddy, who's played by Clifton Powell. And man, Clifton Powell's another actor who I think goes underappreciated. For those of you who don't know who he is, you see next Friday, he's Pinky. And he just always steals the scene. He's got like this gaze with his eyes that just kind of, it's hard to ignore. And he kind of pierces, like he can make a scene very intense when he wants to. And he does a great job. So there's kind of this little back and forth, like I don't know if he still wants Juanita. I don't know if it's a power trip. He wants to show he's the man. So Anthony's trying to, he links up with everybody again, Kirby, just as friends, but he's trying to integrate back to society, and it starts to become a struggle because he has trouble finding a job. Eventually he gets a job as a butcher, but then he's still it's not paying the bills. You got Cuddy giving his daughter gifts and then you got Juanita berating him because look, he has PTSD. He wakes up in night sweats, terrors, and drinks a lot. So she's constantly like on his ass about that, how he needs to provide more as a man, kind of thing. And he does such a good job just seeing someone who's just being beaten down by all these circumstances and doesn't know what to do. Juanita has a sister who's introduced earlier on in the movie, Delilah, and she's joined a Black Power movement and kind of reconnects Anthony Curtis, or Anthony. Full name's Anthony Curtis, but Anthony reconnects with her, and it's implied early on that she kind of has a crush on him, but she was younger. He kind of just ignored her. So they end up finding out through Jose and a few other connects that the Federal Reserve burns this money and they transfer this money in an armored car, and then this is where the heist part comes in. So this movie is essentially broken up into the start where he goes to Vietnam, then the middle where he's having trouble adapting, and then there's the heist part, which is about to kick in now in like the latter third of the movie. So Anthony and Jose and everyone, they end up finding out that there is money that gets burned by the Federal Reserve and it gets shipped to just get destroyed. And they pick it up on schedule like every week, I believe. And they just decide, they come up with a plan to rob it. So Skip, Kirby, Jose, Anthony, and then they get Delilah, which is Juanita's sister, because, she's always had an infatuation with Anthony, decide to do this. Then they say, well, we need to get one more. Kirby thinks they need one more. So they recruit Cleon. By now, though, Cleon is a reformed man. He's actually, it's mentioned earlier on that he's a preacher's son. And guess what? Well, he's a preacher now. Not doesn't seem like the psychomaniac that he was back when he was in Vietnam. They decide they're going to rob his bank. And you guys have probably seen pictures. You have to, because it's freaking iconic. Their face paint, it's this white face paint with like black eyes, black mouth. And they just leaves an impression, right, when you see it. So they set up at the heist. Anthony sets up with Jose under this part where the armored car parks. Delilah sets up across the street. And this is what I think makes this a great heist movie because none of these guys are experts at any of this, like robbing anybody. They've never done it before. And right from the get go, everything just starts going sideways. The minute they try to get out, they get spotted. Cop shows up unexpectedly, and Cleon, who's a lookout, messes up and doesn't hold him back. So Skip is forced to shoot the cop and kill him. And this whole thing just starts breaking down. Freddie, or not Freddie, it's Freddie Rodriguez, but Jose, his character, puts the bomb on the back of the armored truck that tries to escape, blows it up, but blows up a bunch of the money as well. So they grab what they can in the process. Delilah gets killed. It just chaos, and it all just starts falling apart fast. Like there is no we were in control at any point in this. It just starts falling apart. So they grab what they can. They're running down the streets. Shows you how inexperienced they are because you got two guys in face paint running down the streets. The other guys don't have any face paint, but they're all running down the street and instead of breaking apart. So eventually that happens, and Jose ends up in an alleyway by himself and ends up getting killed. The whole thing is on the news. The other guys get away. They're counting their money, and it doesn't tell you how much time passes. But and there's a disagreement between Skip and Cleon, Bokeem Woodbine's character. But then, Anthony and Skip pass out some turkeys and some toys to some kids during the holidays. And again, like it doesn't tell you, hey, 6 months, 2 months, just assuming it's been a few weeks at least. Um, then they find out that Cleon is spending money that he shouldn't be, like not in the way he should be spending. So he gets arrested, and it's heavily implied that basically he snitches on everyone. So everyone everyone goes down. Skip actually ODs before he gets arrested, but as Anthony and Kirby are trying to get away, they catch him at the pool hall. And this is one thing they did that I personally liked a lot. I feel in a lot of movies when there's heist, right? Guys go down in a hail of gunfire and it's over, or they get caught, or they get away, right? But they never really follow up. So the final part of the movie is in the courtroom as he's getting sentenced. And he basically they try to say, oh, he messed up. We understand that he never meant for anybody to get hurt, but he's served in the military and he's done a great service to his country. So the judge, who is Martin Sheen, kind of says, I was in the Marines as well, and I didn't, you know, you're a disgrace to the Marines. Basically gives him 15 years to life, and Lawrence Tate, Anthony Curtis has a meltdown. He's like, what do you mean 15 to life? I gave everything for my country, F you, and throws a chair. And that's where the movie fucking ends, just on a complete down note. And I think that was honestly, I think this is such an underrated Hughes Brothers film. I know everyone talks about Menace to Society. Personally, I prefer Dead Presidents over Menace to Society. Menace to Society is great, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like you see Anthony Curtis' character just go through this roller coaster of life, and it's tragic. And I'm not justifying what he did, but he tries. He has issues that he battles with, and he's Lawrence Tate is one of those characters that doesn't have to say a lot. He can act with his eyes really really well, and you can just see the emotions in his face as he goes through. And the movie has some great scenes as well. Like it has funny scenes, it has serious scenes. It takes you, has action packed scenes, and it takes you through like a roller coaster throughout the movie. And I mean, it was a financial success when it got released. I believe it was like a $10 million budget and it made $30 million. So that was a win or sorry, $10 million budget made 24 million. The Hughes brothers kind of, I don't know, I don't know what their plan was, but it's been an interesting career for these guys because they did Menace to Society, huge. Dead Presidents, not huge but successful, right? Then they did a documentary called American Pimp. Then they did From Hell with Johnny Depp, which completely strayed away from what people were expecting. And then they directed The Book of Eli together, right? Which I love The Book of Eli. I think it's a great movie. And then they kind of went out on their own really after that. And they kind of, I mean, they'd done some stuff on their own, but they really ventured out on their own more after that. But I feel like even the Hughes brothers as directors kind of get forgotten, and they have some great movies out there. I don't know if maybe they just gotta start doing them together again instead of their own solo stuff. But I mean, this movie, when it comes to, again, it's not a straight heist movie, but I think the heist part is such a big part of this movie that it qualifies as a heist movie. It just sets it up in a different way. Rather than one thing that a lot of movies don't do that they did is, why are people robbing, right? Other than just, I want money, right? Like, what led them to that to say, I'm going to rob a bank, I'm going to rob an armored car, whatever it is, right? And they set that up. They give you the reason why: desperation. Everyone is at the end of their rope. Life is hard. They don't know what else to do. We're not robbing people's money. We're robbing money that's going to get burned. So they don't feel as bad about that. And then it shows you the aftermath. I love the fact that it shows you the aftermath. I think this movie did is great when it comes to that. So I think if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. And if you have watched it, watch it again. Fantastic movie. And again, this is definitely one of those forgotten movies that I think deserves a lot more credit and needs to be watched and watched a lot more. Let me know, guys. What do you guys think about Dead Presidents? Is it your favorite Hughes Brothers film? Do you think it's better than Menace to Society? I know a lot of people give Menace to Society like that is the benchmark for the Hughes Brothers. But I think this is just as good. Like I said, personally, I prefer it more than Menace to Society. And let me know what you guys think about the story. Is this qualify as a heist film to you because it has so many other elements, not just the heist part of it? And overall, just let me know what you guys think. Once again, I'm Nathan from 24 Chambers of Film. Appreciate you guys watching. Until next time.